Hi, my name is Madison, and I did an interview with my grandma, Betty McCoy, and here's her introducing herself.
Hi, my name is Betty McCoy. I am 70 years old. I forget how old I am. I was born in Porterdale, Georgia, and I was raised in Covington, Georgia, which is the home of The Heat of the Night, The Duke Boys, and several other movies. And it was a nice town to grow up in. Hi, my name is When I was 19, I had never seen the ocean before. So a friend of mine and her two girls and two other friends of mine hopped in the car and we headed to Daytona. The first time I saw the ocean, I thought I was in heaven because I had never seen anything so magnificent. So the first day we hung out at the beach, and that night we decided to go to the pier in Daytona, and they had a place where they had a big dance. So I didn't go dances very often because my parents didn't allow me to. But I went in there, and all of a sudden, these two guys walked up to me and one of my friends and asked us to dance. Well, we did. We danced and we danced. And then the guy asked me if I would meet him back there the next night at like 8 o'clock. And I said, sure. I showed up the next night at 10 o'clock. He was still waiting. Crazy man, I thought. But we danced some, and then we went to a little bar thing and got us a bottle of Boone's Farm strawberry wine. And we sat out on the beach and drank that wine together. Now, the funny thing about it, this was July the 4th. We were engaged in August and we got married in December. He lived 2 hours from me, and so I had never didn't know anything about him, and I wondered what kind of fool I was to hang around with a man that I didn't know. But you know what? It all worked out fine. We're fixing to celebrate our 51st wedding anniversary, so I think we were very blessed.
This story was a personal experience narrative for my grandma. A personal experience narrative is a first person account about an interesting or unusual experience. In this story, Betty, my grandma, talks about going to the beach for the first time, and she describes it as heaven. And and she also talks about meeting the love of her life, which is my grandpa, and they've been married for almost 51 years. The story has a charming aspect because my papa knew that she was the one for him, so he waited for her even after she was 2 hours late to the meeting time they had agreed upon. If this story were to happen today, the man would most likely not wait longer than 30 to 45 minutes. And this makes it a unique story to my grandma. And
I have both of my sisters, we went to a lot of places together. We went to Callaway Gardens, we went to the mountains, we went to the beach. Used to go on vacations together about every year to Panama City. And I really miss all that. But in one particular story, one of my sisters and my husband decided we would go on an RV trip. And our destination was Vermont. So we started in Monticello, Georgia, and we stopped all along the way in different states and different cities and just looked at stuff. Our destination, like I say, was Vermont. And what the first night we were on there, we rode and we rode and we rode, and finally we were tired. So we actually pulled into a rest stop and paid the man at the rest stop area to let us sleep there overnight, and he let us. But then we went on and went to see a lot of stuff in Vermont, in Pennsylvania. But we were very close to the Canadian border. And we thought, we're so close. Why don't we just go into Canada? Well, it didn't turn out like we wanted it to because my husband had a pistol with him. So when we got to the Canadian border and we were stopped by the Canadian police, they asked us where we were going. And my husband told him we wanted to go over to Canada, but that he had a pistol in his vehicle. And the Canadian police told us that they couldn't even carry a gun. So what they suggested we do is just turn around and go right back into the United States. So we did. It was a little different when we got to come back to the United States. We told them we had a gun. They made us write down the number of the pistol so they could run a check on it. We saw people standing inside with like guards thinking we were going to do something wrong. They asked my husband why he had two women in the vehicle with him, which we thought was very rare. But he did explain to them that one was his wife and one was his sister. So they told us to sit tight. They ran the number on the pistol, and they got my husband to go in there, and they checked the pistol number, and then they checked the number that was on the file, and it did match him. So we were lucky at that. If not, we might still be in Canada with no pistol with us. But it was an interesting trip, and we'll never forget it, and we talk about it all the time.
This story included customs and traditions. A custom in folklore refers to a traditional practice or way of behaving that is widely shared within a particular community. This story included the customs that are involved in leaving the country and trying to come back into the country. In the United States, you are not supposed to bring guns from other countries into the US. And in the story, my grandpa has a gun. He carries a pistol with him everywhere. So in the US, the border police did not want him to bring it back into the US until they knew it was registered to him and it was his. A tradition in folklore refers to a belief, custom, or practice that is passed down through generations within a community. This story also includes the tradition of yearly trips that Betty, Jane, and Sandy used to go on. This one included my grandpa instead of Sandy.
Oh, Daddy, he loved to trap. In Newton County, in the town that we lived in, we had so many fox that Daddy they would pay $2 for a pair of ears. So Daddy would go out trapping for fox all the time, and then bring them home and kill them and cut the ears off and take them to the courthouse or somewhere, and they would pay him $2. One time he caught a bobcat. We had a bobcat in a cage at our house. And sometimes he would take those fox and tie them on a rope and let them run around in the yard. Sorry. He brought home owl one time, and the owl was sitting in our house, and at night we couldn't sleep because he was going, hoo, hoo, hoo. And then Daddy caught another owl one time. He was trying to get him out of the cage, and the owl attacked him and hurt him. The other thing he loved to do was trap turtles. Now, our family was old school, so we ate anything that could be caught or trapped. And we loved fried turtle. We loved turtle stew. So we always had. In fact, somebody said one time, my son told somebody, beware of anything that you eat at the Sullivan's house that's in gravy, because you have no idea where that meat might have came from. And I guess the worst thing that we ever did was one year on Easter. Of course, and Easter is celebrating that Christ arise from the grave. And the Peter Cottontail. That's what Easter's known for. Well, my sweet mama, one day my nephew brought her some rabbits, and she cooked rabbit on Easter Sunday. And we all said, Mama, how in the world can you cook rabbit on Easter Sunday? It's like the rabbit delivered all the eggs to the children, and then he jumped in the pot and you cooked him. So even today, and my mom's been dead for about 15 years and Daddy's been dead about 10, we still laugh about having Peter Cottontail on Easter Sunday.
This story included the food culture of my grandma's family. Food is an important part of folklore because it is a central part of life and is connected to many aspects of culture, history, and identity. In my grandma's family, they would eat anything that was killed and brought to them by other members of the family or animals that their dad would catch and kill. Food is an very important part of my family because it's what brings us together most of the time.
Oh my goodness, they were all entertaining. They called me the entertaining sister. I would always make them laugh. I would just tell stories or do something. But I remember one time, and I can't even remember where this trip was, but we were in a store. It was a grand opening of a shoe store or something. And they were playing music and all. And so all of a sudden, me and my sister Jane, which she's the middle daughter, they were playing music, and me and her started clogging in the back of the store. And all of a sudden, the announcer says, "Oh, we have a couple of dancers in the back of the store." And my sister was up, the other sister was up front. She had no idea it was me and Jane. But when she saw it, it embarrassed her. It embarrassed her real bad. But you know what? They gave us a free pocketbook. They said, "Okay, you two dancers, come up front and pick out the pocketbook of your choice." And of course, we used to get lost all the time. We were in Covington at one time, and we were going to get what used to be called twist beads. They were back in the early 70s or something. And we were only going to a store that was about 35 minutes from our house. We wound up 2 hours away. We made a wrong turn and winded up above Atlanta somewhere. I don't know how we did it. That was back before GPS. And we couldn't stop laughing about it because we were lost. And of course, on other trips, we would have a tendency to get lost too. They used to give me the piece of paper for the map, and I would try to read the directions. But of course, knowing me, sometimes I'd tell them turn left when they should turn right, or right when they should turn left, and we always wind up getting lost wherever we go.
This story included gestures and dance. Dance celebrates the cultural roots of a particular group of people. It teaches people about music, rhythm, and beat. Dance can signify joy, celebration, and or possession by a higher power, be it good or evil. In this story, my grandma and her sister Jane showed their happiness through dance. Betty, Sandy, and Jane all danced in their childhood and up until their teens. The style of dance that they specified in was called clogging, which is a type of tap dance. A gesture is a movement of the body or limbs that conveys an idea, sentiment, or attitude. The directions given by my grandma could be considered a type of gesture. To further explain this, she would point the direction that she wanted the driver to go, therefore making it a gesture. Why is this project significant? This project allowed me to learn things about my life that I had yet to learn. The project gave me an opportunity to get to know her better and bond with her. Before the shooting of the interview, we had just finished decorating her house for Christmas. So we had already spent time, and during that time I was preparing her for the questions I was going to ask her and what stories she wanted to tell. This interview brought us closer through the telling of stories. Some of the stories that my grandma told I had never heard before.